So in this video series, I'm going to be talking about how to get into a position of doing multi-million dollar deals, especially if you have no money and using only your phone and your laptop. Now, when I say no money, I mean you still need to have a place to stay, and you still need to have basic amenities, and you still need to have the food and all of those things. So when I say no money, I don't literally mean no money, but not a significant amount of money. If you have a phone and a laptop, if you have and a place where you're staying and you can move around, you have a car or you have access to transportation, in that scenario, this is something that can be extremely valuable to you, the information that I'm about to reveal. And just a little bit of an introduction about my background. I started a company at the age of 26, and within the first year, I got into a position of being involved in a $10 million transaction, a $3 million transaction, a $110 million transaction, a $120 million transaction, and a $25 million transaction. The $25 million transaction came the second year. So the first year was the remaining ones. And I did that in a matter of a few months. And if you watch this whole series, you will understand that you can too. So this information is not something that I can reveal to you within 5-10 minutes, like many of the YouTubers do it, just, quickly speaking, and they just tell you how to do it. But even after the video, you don't exactly know how to do it. This video is not going to be about that. I am going to step by step guide you into how it actually works, so that you have a complete understanding of how it works. You may not be able to execute yet, because obviously there are finer details that may take hours and hours to get into. There are many technicalities, but I will go in significant amount of depth as to how it's done, how I did it, and more importantly, how I helped one of my students, one of my mentees to do it. So stay tuned, and this series is we are going to get into depths of doing multi-million dollar deals. So when I say multi-million dollar deals, what exactly am I talking about? Is it, there could be several multi-million dollar deals. You could sell a private jet, you could sell a yacht, you could sell a piece of real estate, which is very popular, or you could sell a car, sports car, or you could sell a company. And in this context, in this video, when I talk about multi-million dollar deal, I'm talking about buying or selling a company. So a transaction value of $1 million plus. That's what I'm referring to when I say multi-million dollar deal. So this entire series is going to be just about that, and how I used my phone and my laptop to get access to these transactions. First of all, these transactions are not something that happen publicly. Even real estate, if you get into the real estate market, if you want to buy a house, that could be easily $1 million deal. But those transactions are more public. There are websites, there are brokerage firms, there are brokerage websites where you can see these properties, and it's pretty open and it's pretty transparent. And hence there is more competition for those types of deals. And that's why everybody keeps talking about real estate. What I'm talking about is mergers and acquisitions, where companies are bought and sold. Now, you might say, or you might think that, Okay, even mergers and acquisitions are pretty public. We see on Google, Twitter was acquired by Elon Musk or WhatsApp was acquired by Facebook. Those are deals done by public companies. That's the reason they are on in the media so much. But most of the time when these deals happen, when one company acquires another company, assuming they both are private companies, very likely that information is not going to come out. And in fact, even the customers that are buying from that company may not all be aware that that company has just been sold. So this is a very sort of confidential type of transactions that are happening in your city, in your country, wherever you're from. It doesn't matter. Wherever there are businesses, they are bought and they are sold. Now, I know there are websites where you can go and try to look for those businesses. But once again, those are few deals that are available publicly. But most of the deals happen in private, one-on-one. And individuals who are involved in this kind of activities, they are not all on Instagram and they are not all on YouTube. In fact, they don't want to be in the limelight. They want to be secretive, and they don't want this information coming out. They don't want anybody to know what price the company was bought at, what were the terms, and which company was it. They don't want to disturb that ecosystem. They want to keep it as it is. So what I'm about to talk to you in this video is going to be about those types of deals, buying companies. And if you look at all the items that are bought and sold in this world today, the largest, whatever the item that gets sold for the largest amount is always companies. There are companies that are being sold for $20 billion. You cannot show me a house that's worth $20 billion. I think the largest house is $1 billion or $1.5 billion. But companies, one company can be sold for 20 billion, for 40 billion, So when you talk about trading, buying and selling of things, companies are the largest size of items that can be bought and sold on this planet. Why is that? Because companies are, in essence, cash machines. They are ecosystems that produce revenue, that produce capital. And based on how fast those companies produce that capital, how stable those revenues are, and how long the company is in business, and the size of the company, all of these factors determine what's the value of the company. So this is a pathway to get rich in the shortest amount of time possible, because you're buying something that's huge in size. Doesn't mean it's not time consuming. Doesn't mean it's going to come easy. Doesn't mean it's going to come without a hard work. And doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. But it's much faster to buy a multi-million-dollar company, because it's just a transfer of ownership with some financing involved, obviously, and there are other technicalities. I'm oversimplifying here, but it's much faster for you to buy a multi-million-dollar business than to create one from scratch. To create a multi-million-dollar business, it can take a whole decade, and it still may not happen. And the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem these days is all around innovation. Innovation. And people are trying to innovate. And innovation is very risky and capital intensive. So this is one of the biggest reasons why entrepreneurs are failing is because they're trying to set up a business from scratch where already there is established competition. You are being an underdog. You don't want to get into business being an underdog. So I'm creating this background so that whatever I'm about to say, you can relate to it from this perspective. If you are someone who is interested in building wealth, the fastest possible way and the most stable and sort of low risk way, there's always going to be risk involved. But if you compare with anything else, if you want to make tens of millions, hundreds of millions, this is a pathway that I have found, I have discovered, and honestly, I haven't seen anything else that can get you there or get anyone there faster than buying companies. Because these are large ecosystems of people, of services that are already working, that are in demand. People are coming and, have a relationship with the company. And I'm talking about acquiring companies that could be 20 years old, 30 years old, or 40 years old. And the owner of the business is old and he cannot run, he cannot operate. And these are not tech companies. These are not marketing companies. These are not these freshly new age idea companies. These are boring businesses. These are brick and mortar businesses where there is a physical office. It's a very boring infrastructure. And boring is good because boring just means that people don't have their attention on it. And that's the perfect opportunity for an upcoming entrepreneur to enter in that space. So these types of businesses are typically run by people who have surpassed 60, 70 years of age. And in most cases, their children are studying outside the country. Maybe they're married somewhere, and they want nothing to do with the business. In some cases, their children want to continue the legacy of the parents, but in most cases, they want to go pursue something else because they've seen their parents work in this company and they don't want anything to do with it. So these owners are running out of time and they need to sell their business. And if a person is above 60, health problems are stacking up. It's time to leave the planet, above 70, at 80 plus. And they are now in a desperate situation, and they want a solution. They want someone to buy their companies. And you can go and approach these individuals. It's hard to find them because many of the people would have already sold. There might be new owner, but there could be thousands of companies in your city. So if you make enough calls, you will find individuals who don't even know that their companies can be sold, and you can buy them at a very discounted price. If you buy them at a discounted price, you can get it financed. Okay. If the deal is good, and good always means discounted price. Okay. If you're buying an asset that's producing cash flow, it's a cash machine, and revenues have been stable for 20 years. The banks, the investors, or however you finance it, you have leverage. If the deal is good, there is a way that you can find the money to buy this company. You don't have to put your own money. You can find a way to finance it. There are several ways to finance it, but you need to have a deal. Most entrepreneurs, when they get into business, they want to, innovate, and they have an idea, and people are trying to get financing for an idea that doesn't exist, that is just on paper. It's just some charts and some narrative, and there's nothing there. So that the amount of leverage is very low, and they don't have experience. So they don't have experience. They're just trying to finance a thought, essentially. That's what's happening. And that's the reason most people do not get financing. But when you go with a business producing, let's say, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, and it's bought at a discounted price, and you don't even have to pay all the money up front. Even when you go to buy a car or a house, you don't give all the money up front. You give some up front and some is in installments. Whenever there is a big ticket item like a house or a car or something like that, there's always financing available. Nobody has that kind of cash to pay up front. Same thing is with businesses. You don't have to pay all the money up front. That's in fact stupid to do. Because you want to make sure that everything stays intact, and you want to drag the payments, pay some right now and some in installments. And you can pay that installments from the business. So this is what I'm talking about when I talk about multi-million-dollar deals. And I'm going to talk about how to do this, but I just wanted to paint the background, because if I just go and talk about how to do this, then, people, it's important to have this context, So, watch the whole series. This can benefit you tremendously. This can open up a possibility you may not have thought about for yourself. And I'm going to break down step by step how to do this. Not only that, I will post a live session of the coaching, the mentorship program that I have, and where I mentored this individual from Mexico City, who reached out to me about 2 years ago. And he had lost his entire business, his restaurant business, to COVID. And he had lost his mother. He was married. He had a newborn child. And he reached out to me and he said, what do I do? I need a business model, my old business. He had a business worth 30 million, I think Mexican currency. And he just lost all of that to COVID. And he didn't know what to do, so he saw that, he reached out to me on LinkedIn and he explained his situation, and he said, will you mentor me? I see you're involved in these deals. Would you teach me how to do this? So we got into an agreement. I signed him up for a one-on-one mentorship program. Over a couple of months, we engaged in conversation, and I step by step guided him how to do it. And he ended up getting involved in a $12 million hospital deal, negotiating and all of that. So this session that I would be sharing, towards the end of the series is before that, we did a session on how to find these deals in his city. Because he had no idea, he had no prior experience. He was from the restaurant industry, and I was telling him and he started all those companies by himself. He didn't buy any company. So I told him to go into healthcare and find healthcare businesses, because they're always very profitable and, lucrative. So in his 6th or 7th month, he ended up finding a $12 million transaction that he ended up working for several months and looking for financing, etc. So all of that happened after this particular session. This was session number 8. So I obviously cannot share all the sessions of the coaching, but I'm sharing you with the juicy part, the session 8, where I talk about how to find these deals. There are steps before that you need to do to establish yourself properly, so that when you reach out to these owners, they want to talk to you, and obviously steps that you need to do if you want to get these deals financed. But so keep that in mind. Just a disclaimer. But I'm talking about how to find these deals. And I'm going to be covering all the aspects from beginning to the end. This was a coaching session, so I did not plan to upload it. So it's a conversation. You will have to pick up the details, and you would have to pick up sort of what's happening. And this is the reason I'm giving this background before I start sharing that content with you, so that you can listen from that place. You can listen from this context that we have just created here, and you can understand better what's happening in the mentorship session, because it was session 8 and there were 7 sessions before this. So just filling you in, watch it till the end, watch the whole series, and hit the subscribe button, because all I will be talking about on this channel is how to get into position of multi-million-dollar deals. If you don't have a business idea, if you don't know where to start, if you want to make big money, if you're willing to take risks, if you're willing to make the sacrifices, and if you're looking for information, because there is so much secrecy around this subject. Anybody can teach you how to make a couple of $1,000s or tens of thousands of dollars, but where are these deals happening? When I wasn't in this position, I would always wonder how are these people doing these big deals? Where are they happening? How to get access to that action? And, something isn't right, like there are people in this world with so much amount of money. How did they get that? I always thought about that when I saw a sports car, when I saw a Bugatti living in Dubai. I always wondered what was behind that person's life, what was behind that person's business. And I wanted someone to share their secrets. But even the most wealthy people, and I have networked with many of them, even if they welcome you into their homes, which I have had the privilege of being welcomed in many of these extremely rich, I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth individuals, they will not always reveal their core strategies of how they got there. They will tell you general advice, think big or wake up in the morning and stuff like that. But they don't reveal actual strategies of how they did it. So I'm going to be disclosing and sort of uncovering some of those secrets of doing these multi-million-dollar deals. And these are very private, as I mentioned. So stay tuned and, watch it till the end, pay attention, take notes, and try to catch, the information, and try to sort of make sense of it and how you can apply it. And really, I want you to visualize yourself doing this, because if you haven't even thought about it, you're never going to act on it. So think about it, visualize it, get inspired. This video is not to intimidate you, not to put you down. This video is made to inspire you, inspire something, awaken something in you that was shut down by your teachers, by parents, back in childhood. We talk about childhood conditioning. So this is a video to activate that and to show a possibility. If you're willing to make the sacrifices, if you're willing to work hard, but you got to work hard in the right direction, so this video series is going to be aimed at exposing the secrets of doing multi-million-dollar deals. I'll talk to you soon.